Hello and welcome to Mexico News Network's Breaking News. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Elisa Carballo, and we have excellent information for you coming right ahead. Mexico News Network is your #1 source for reliable information on business and investments in the Americas, stock markets and bonds, as well as corporate information about Mexico. So why not browse through our website on www.mexiconewsnetwork.com, our very own content digital platform. Now let's start with today's main headlines. It was back in the year 1997 in the municipality of Jiquipilco in Estado de Mexico that the story began. The story of a family company that started out growing oyster mushroom as a complementary activity from their corn and oatmeal crops took off. Today, close to 20 years later, Grupo de Hongo Zeta Endotzi is opening its market to international grounds, exporting their products to Canada as well as Spain. The production of Endotzi has grown as fast as oyster mushrooms. The company now operates a plant that generates 12 tons of fresh mushrooms a month, and it also processes 6,000 tons of compost a year, an amount that represents 50% of the compost production in the central region of Mexico. Now today the company generates 30 direct jobs and 150 indirect jobs. Besides, they also have worked a way to slowly begin exports to Canada as well as Spain, which have generated sales for almost 2 million pesos. Endotzi, a word in Otomi language that means pulque in slush, offers high-quality products because they are only focused on a few products, which are fresh oyster mushrooms, bottled oyster mushrooms in different flavors, bottled huitlacoche with herbs, chocolate-covered cranberries, as well as chocolate-covered cashew nuts. Now, these products can be found in several supermarkets and department stores in Mexico, such as Comercial Mexicana, Chedraui, Mexico and Liverpool, as well as in Canada and Spain, and the latest international destination will definitely be France. Moving on to more information, Petróleos Mexicanos, Pemex, seeks new coking units for 3 of its major refineries in the country. Therefore, is looking out to find potential partners willing to invest $12.3 billion. The 3 refineries that are looking for investment are the one in Salina Cruz to the south of the country, the largest of the 6 that Pemex has. Additionally to the central Tula and Salamanca refineries, which are the 2nd and 4th biggest of the company in the nation. All of them have a mixed capacity processing of 890,000 barrels per day. Marcelo Parisot, Director of Marketing of Industrial Transformation in Pemex, stated that the goal is to establish coking units which will allow an increase in productivity and production and higher value distillate for petrol, and to maintain also an increased market shares. Parisot added that these projects are planned to be carried out by the joining of forces, ergo, the merge with other potential investors will definitely allow a better management and operation of the refinery at Matter. Additionally, we foresee a development in human resources, as well as a reduction of excessive requirements in capital, risk sharing, and the overall improvement of delivery of public goods. According to the plan presented by Pemex on the partnership scheme, Tula requires an investment of $4.8 billion, Salina Cruz of $4.1 billion, and Salamanca of $3.4 billion. It's worth mentioning that they have not yet released details on the partnership scheme, as Parisot said that the company is also looking for different patterns of associations before they can actually give more details. If this entire association plan is actually established and takes off, we could be extended up until the year 2018. Pemex's 6 refineries have a total installed capacity of processing 1.5 million barrels per day, and it's one of the biggest oil producers in the world, yet it produces mostly heavy crude, which is much more difficult and expensive to process, and a minor amount of distillate is obtained, which is why a change in the coking unit of the refinery could help improve all of these processes. Moving along to more information, in recent years, many American manufacturers have chosen Mexico as their ideal partner to establish their production plants. This is because it offers several benefits, and as well as opportunities that increase the value of the finished product. Some of the industries that have favored Mexico as a business partner are automotive, aerospace, and clean energy. As stated by Kevin Brooks, CMO of procurement firm Evalua and contributor for EBN Online, there are some of the reasons for nearshoring in Mexico if your company is based in the U.S. Number one, transportation costs. The proximity of the U.S. to Mexico comes as a great benefit, as it most likely helps reduce transportation costs. Number two, time reduction. Keeping in mind that the pressure for the products to reach customers faster, the distance between Mexico and the U.S. is quite and very much accommodating. Number three, growing local market. By shifting business to another country, it definitely increases the local market and also brings benefit to the surrounding areas by creating jobs as well as raising property values. Now, even though nearshoring can provide large benefits, there are challenges to consider. Language as well as cultural barriers, regulatory restrictions, finding suppliers, and entering an unfamiliar market are just a few to mention from some. However, Mexico also features benefits to counteract these challenges, balancing the scale and bringing up the pros much higher over the cons. Moving on to more news, in December of 2013, Russia and Mexico entered an agreement for cooperation on the peaceful uses of nuclear energy, which definitely entered into force just this year, 2015. This, according to Rosatom, Russia's state nuclear corporation. The corporation stated that in compliance with a note sent by the Embassy of the United Mexican States to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Russian Federation, the agreement entered into force on 18th of July of 2015. Now, this agreement sets the guidance for the establishment of a co-joint directive committee to develop a certain areas of cooperation, as well as to monitor the implementation of the agreement, in addition to future consultation regarding the use of nuclear energy for peaceful purposes. The objective is stated on the document, which definitely states that the framework of cooperation regarding several areas in the agreement include, but are not limited to, number one, the design, number two, the construction, the operation itself, number four, the extension of its life, the decommissioning and training in the operation of nuclear power, and finally, research reactors. Moreover, the provision of development of nuclear fuel cycle services is also added, ensuring nuclear and radiation safety, radiation protection, and emergency response, as well as the regulation of nuclear and radiation safety, as well as radiation protection. Overall, the supervision of the physical protection of nuclear installations, radiation sources, storage facilities, nuclear materials, and radioactive substances are all included in the agreement. In order to fulfill the settlement's directive, both parties have agreed to establish joint working groups for particular projects and research, experts exchanges, seminar organizations, and the promotion of education and training of scientific and technical workforces. All of this in addition to the exchange of education and scientific information among both parties. Now for Mexico's indicators. The gross domestic product in Mexico advanced 2.6% year-on-year in the third quarter of 2015, which is higher than a preliminary estimate of a 2.4% growth final figures showed. This is the strongest expansion so far this year, bringing growth rates for the very first 9 months of the year to 2.5%. The industrial sector advanced by 1.2%, matching preliminary estimates, and higher than 0.6% in the second quarter of 2015. The manufacturing sector went up by 2.8%, construction increased by 3.5%, and utilities grew by 3.8%, while the mining sector sadly shrank to 5.6%. The service sector expanded by 3.3%, higher than an earlier estimate of 2.9% and 3.1% in the previous period. Now, internal trade increased by 4.8%. Real estate grew by 2.2%, transport, warehousing, and communications advanced by 4%, and financial services, as well as insurance, went up by 1.7%. Agriculture expanded less than initially anticipated, from 4.1% compared to the 4.6%. However, more than in the previous quarter, which was of 2.6%. On a quarterly basis, the gross domestic product in Mexico expanded by 0.8% in the third quarter of the year 2015, which are definitely promising and profitable figures for the nation. Sadly, this was all for today. You were watching Breaking News by Mexico News Network. I'm your host, Elisa Carballo. Remember, Mexico News Network is your #1 source for reliable, useful, and positive information about Mexico, Mexico's economy, shares, market, bonds, and so forth. So why not browse through our website on www.mexiconewsnetwork.com for more information. We'll see you next time.